Hey guys, Ben Painting, and today we're back once again for another video, and this time we are at Castle Combe for the second round of the SRK Championship in 2025. Now before we jump into the rest of the video, if you do enjoy this one, can you please leave a like on the video down below, as I really do appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button, as it really does help me out. Now we're going to get underway here straight away into our first heat, and as you can see, we're starting near the back of the pack in 7th place. We're able to go around the outside of Kevin Taylor BB pretty easily there, moving us up into 6th place, and now we're going to try and get through as quickly, or if we're possibly able to, here at Castle Combe, which is very difficult. Kevin goes for a big move down our inside, knocks us off wide a little bit, and then as we come into the downhill section, we just sort of have a bit of a nice mistake there. So you can see we spin ourselves out ultimately there. We had Jake Holly cutting across us quite aggressively, and I just wasn't really expecting this. I think I just hit the brakes a little bit too hard as I was turning on the wheel coming into the downhill section of the track, obviously where the track's cambered as well. Just completely lost the back end, and that pretty much sewed up this first heat. Obviously, unfortunately, on a track this small with laps not aplenty, we're really going to struggle to even get anything else back from this heat. Obviously now we're about half a lap down, and we're just going to be struggling here, but we're not going to give up. We're going to keep going as quickly as we can, and you can see this from our lap time being a 25.825 seconds. So we're going to push ourselves forward, and as you can see here, come the end on the 9th lap out of 10, so 2 laps left to go, we have caught back up to Kevin Taylor BB, who is in 7th place, and Finley Williams, who is in 7th place, or 6th place even. So we're going to see what we can do here. We're going to hope one of them makes a little bit of a mistake as they're battling with one another. Both of them are in the SRK Masters category, which weighs up to 90 kilos. So we're going to see what we're able to do here. We're closing up massively, as you can see, coming into the downhill section of the track. Moving on to the last lap here, we're trying to make some sort of switchback on Kevin. We actually give him a little bit of a boost going up the hill instead, so we're sort of holding our time here. This is sort of the last place we can really go for an overtake. We're sort of moving to the outside. Kevin goes a little bit wide. We give him a little bit of a bump on the exit, and luckily this is able to give us the inside line. Not the nicest of moves, but we're able to make it stick. No penalties applied, and we finished this first heat pretty short but sweet in 7th place with our fastest lap time of 25.408. So with that, we're going to jump into the second heat and hope for a little bit of a better time. Now here we are starting this one in 6th place alongside Chris Ball on our right hand side, so we're going to hope we can get underway pretty quickly and hopefully have a bit of a better time than we did in that first heat. You can see we get off initially quite well. Obviously we're stuck behind Finley Williams again on the outside, and obviously the outside at Castle Combe is not really a place you want to be. We're sort of stuck here. We're trying to make some sort of move stick, trying to hold some sort of position, but unfortunately we're just stuck to the outside line. We can't really move back over. There's karts everywhere, and we're going to see what we can do. Now at this point here, we're side by side with Chris. Finn gets compromised by the barrier. We go 3 wide coming into the downhill section of the track, and luckily we're able to squeeze our way through and make a position up into 5th alongside Chris, who moves himself up into 4th. And now we're really going to try and power after him and see what we can do. Now we skip forward in this one, as we are just trundling around on a very short track, so we skip forward quite quickly here. Myself and Chris weren't making too much progress at this point, sort of just situated in 4th and 5th still, and hoping that we can catch back up to him. Obviously we had some pretty decent pace in that first heat, but unfortunately as we are so far back, we weren't really able to show it. Now we're trying to take some really wide lines here, just trying to keep the flow of the track going as smoothly as possible. You can see this is really benefiting us as we come into the downhill section of the track. We come around with our fastest lap of the heat so far, and our fastest lap of the day with a 25.442, and that's the fastest lap we were able to achieve in this second heat. Now we're coming up behind Chris once again. We've got Jake Holly going side by side with Alex King. Jake Holly's able to make his way past as we go into the initial phase of going up the hill. Chris is sort of looking to the inside here. I was also looking to the inside of Chris. Unfortunately wasn't able to make anything stick. I look for a bit of a switchback, but get caught on the barrier on the right hand side, so we have to stay back in 5th place once again. We continue the momentum coming back down the hill, but unfortunately we don't really have any space to make any overtakes stick. Chris is sort of sat more to the inside. I give him a little bit of a boost here in the hope that he goes for a move. He does here on Alex, compromises himself a little bit. We're able to get alongside, but once again, just like earlier in the heat at the beginning, we're just stuck to the outside. We try and sort of move our way back for a little bit of a switchback, but unfortunately we just lose the rear end on the slippier parts of the track at the top of the hill. We skip forward a lap later once again, really trying to throw that kart in, preserve that momentum as much as we can. Alex King goes very wide, and Chris goes for a big move down the inside. Unfortunately doesn't make it stick. We tried to then follow Alex through, and we sort of get around the outside of Chris, don't give him too much room there. We try and squeeze him out on the inside, but unfortunately he's able to muscle his way back through again. We don't just drop down from 4th to 5th, we drop down to 6th momentarily there, but we're able to hold our own through the chicane, coming back up the hill, and we're able to stay in behind Chris in 5th place. So we're going to see what we're able to do into the latter stages of the race, but I knew at this point Chris was going to start driving a lot more defensively, as there wasn't much time left to catch back up to Alex, who is in 3rd place currently. So you can see here we're really all over the back of Chris. We're trying to find if he's going to make any sort of mistakes. We look to the inside here, unfortunately we don't have too much of a run on him, and he just pulls away in that first stage of acceleration coming up the hill once again. So we're really trying to tuck him behind him as much as we can, trying to throw him off by weaving left and right, seeing if he goes defensive, overly defensive. Unfortunately, just sits in the middle of the track perfectly well, and there's not really too much we can do. Obviously, we're still pounding around quite quickly here at this point, all over the back of him, and there's a little bit of a gap to the inside, but we think better of it coming into the last lap of the race. And once more, I knew, much like the first heat, if we're going to make a move stick, it's going to be into this hairpin here, which unfortunately we're just too far back from to complete, or into this downhill section right-hander as we round out the end of the lap. But Chris covers it off very well, sticks to the inside, and honestly there's nothing we're able to do. We come around the end of the track here on the 10th lap with a 25.65, finishing in 5th place once again. So unfortunately these heats are just very short but sweet. It's a bit of a bitter pill, considering it's the closest outdoor track to us. So moving on into the 3rd and final heat here, we are starting on pole, and we're hoping that we're going to be able to just run away. That's our game plan for this one. You can see we get off very strong there, holding that inside line, and we just get our head down and try and break away from the pack as much as possible, hoping that the other drivers behind will have a bit of a squabble. You can see here we're staying to the racing line, just trying to preserve that distance that we were able to capture off the start of the race, flicking the kart in very quickly, coming into the downhill section, just trying to preserve that momentum, as I mentioned earlier, looking over our shoulder, and we had actually developed a little bit of a gap through the first lap. We skip forward here to the 4th lap, I believe this is, and this is obviously the fastest lap of this heat, so we're really trying to put the power down here at this point, trying to preserve that momentum, trying to keep that speed up, especially coming into this section of the track, which is all uphill. So if you get that bottom first corner wrong, you're really going to compromise yourself coming up the hill to the other drivers behind. At this point we had created a lovely little gap for ourselves, and we're just really trying to motor away. So coming back down the hill once again, trying to keep that section as straight as possible, and we come across the line with a 25.475. So really being consistent with our fastest laps so far throughout the whole day. Now unfortunately for us at this point, we had made a little bit of a mistake. We were actually now in 1st place still, but we did have Zach then breathing all down our neck coming into the final lap. He had put on a bit of a charge coming from the back of the pack, so I knew at this point I had to start driving very defensively if I wanted to hold on to this 1st place, much like Chris did in the 2nd heat. So you can see here we're taking a nice tight line. Unfortunately we just sort of clip that inside barrier, it loses all our momentum, and also the inside line to Zach. He looks for a little bit of a squeeze pass. We try and keep our foot in here. We're side by side coming down the hill, coming across the line, we're side by side, and we actually managed to clinch that 1st place. Just as we crossed the line, we actually had Alex McCutcheon in 3rd place as well, so we're actually 3 wide coming across the line. A very close finish and a very enjoyable race. Now moving into the last race of the day very quickly here, we're into the C final here. Unfortunately our results weren't quite up to par, much like they were in the 1st round, and we're hoping to get off to a quick start here, starting from the back of the pack and see what we can do. We're able to dive down the inside of Lloyd very quickly there, who's now sat on our outside. We get bumped from behind, who is Jen Tompkins in last place at the moment, and we're hoping to try and make a move on Neil here. We go up the inside here, hoping to keep that inside line, but unfortunately we just didn't quite have the overspeed to hold that inside line coming into the downhill section of the track. And again we're up behind Peyton Fricker, who is in 6th place at the moment. Now at this point didn't want to send any silly moves, obviously just wanted to try and work together with Neil and Peyton to try and catch up with the drivers who had pulled a little bit of a gap. The front 4 here, or front 5 even, someone was hidden, and we're going to try and catch up to them as quickly as we can. Now obviously, as I said, weren't going for any silly moves, just hoping to sit together in this train, push each other and just catch up, and that's all we could really do. Didn't really want to stay down in 8th place, and also didn't want to sort of cause a detriment to any of us either by sending any silly moves and losing us time. You can see Neil's not happy with his car, I don't think Peyton is either, but we're really going to try and work with them to see if we can move forward. Neil goes slight defensive here, and we're just happy sitting behind him. There's no need for that. We're trying to bump him on the exit to give him that little bit of a speed boost, and unfortunately we just leave the door open to Lloyd behind us, who just dives down the inside. Very good move from him there, and we just slide back down to where we started in 9th place. Not too much we could do there other than go defensive, but I didn't really want to go defensive for 8th position. Didn't really see the point of that when we could all just work together and try and push forward. So at this point now, we're just sort of stuck in 9th place. We're hoping that we can try and make that rear overtake work, or even just work together. We accidentally go flying into the back of Lloyd there, loses our momentum, and once again Jen is able to capitalise, doing the exact same thing, diving down our inside. We're now stuck to the outside of the track, and this pushes us all the way back down into last place in this C final, which I was a little bit disappointed at myself for this one. Just a few little silly mistakes, and it's cost us big time here. Now we're really far back. Jen's deciding to defend for 9th position, which I wasn't too happy with. I was hoping to make a little move stick. We're able to get this inside line here, and we make that move stick, much like everyone has on us so far, into that corner coming down the hill once again, moving us halfway into the race. So I knew I really had to get my head down if I had any chance of catching up, and unfortunately, just due to the nature of the track being really short and not that many laps, we just weren't really able to do anything. We're moving on to the last lap here, and we're really trying to catch up with the driver up ahead of us. I believe that's Ben Chick up ahead of us. Obviously you can see as well, we've got Lloyd, Neil and Peyton have all managed to get past 2 of the other drivers, so if we're able to stay with them, we would have been up in a better position. But unfortunately we come round here on the last lap, really flicking that car in, holding that momentum, keeping the wheel as straight as possible through the corner, rotating the car on the brakes rather than using all of the wheel, and we come around on the last lap with a 25.258, which was our fastest lap of the day, and that did in fact leave us in 27th place overall for this round, which, as I said, wasn't the best, wasn't as good as our first round, but it's something we can build on going into the rest of them. However, this does in fact bring us to the end of the video, guys, so I hope you have all enjoyed this one. If you have, can you please leave a like on the video down below, as I really do appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel, if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button, as it really does help me out. This one was pretty short but sweet. We'll have some more coming soon, but in the meantime, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.